Hey everyone, and today we are ranking all the World at War weapons from worst to best in Call of Duty Zombies. And this is a redo from a previous video, and I realized I missed a couple guns and just a couple things need to be redone, as I said in a previous video when I talked about my rankings. So let's just get into this. So the rules of this and how we are ranking this list is by, in general, how far they can take you, the effectiveness of the gun, the damage that it can produce, usability is another one. The point, like how much points they can get you, will be relevant. The Pack-a-Punch is being considered, and along with some weapons, for my opinion. So I feel like it's pretty straightforward. Let's just start off with the bad section. At our number 25 spot is the Springfield, and this is probably the worst weapon in all of Call of Duty Zombies. It only does 100 damage, and that is equivalent to a knife. So yeah, so every time you shoot this gun at a zombie, you're basically doing the equivalent of knifing them, which is why it's so bad. And Pack-a-Punch is not much better, and the sights are off on this thing too. Like, that's another thing. The Springfield is just not a good gun. Yeah, the fact that it does 100 damage and it's only a wall weapon on Verrückt and mainly a box weapon. Like, don't even pick this up. At this point. Anyway, on to our number 24 spot is the Panzerschreck, and this thing can produce a lot of damage. However, every time I actually try to use this, I end up downing myself. And just the killing you factor on this thing is so bad that I rank it so far down, because one, it's a launcher, it doesn't have a lot of ammo, and I would rather have many other guns over this, and it's just not a good gun. And continuing, like, yeah, it just ends up here. Even with the damage, it's the fact that it kills you, so it'll kill you very quickly. Like, even in the clip, I died with one shot in one of the clips. It just brings it all the way down to 24. At our number 23 spot is the Arisaka, which is only found on Shinonuma and is a wall weapon. It is for, I believe, 200 points. I could be wrong about that. But yeah, it's a solid early round weapon, and obviously you can't Pack-a-Punch it, so that's not really being considered here, I suppose. But it's just not that great, honestly. Good for early round, good for headshots early round, or in the early rounds, but not much else there. At our number 22 spot is the Kar 98K, and I think it's unfair to even put this on this list. It is an amazing gun. It's great for headshots, it's great early round, by the time you get to the mid rounds, you might want to get rid of it, but in all seriousness, the Kar 98K, it will do fine for the first couple rounds, but just after that, I wouldn't use it much. But it's not bad Pack-a-Punch, but it's like, there are just better weapons in it, and at least for like early to mid rounds, there it is. I can guarantee that. But and even for mostly high rounds as well. Anyway, at our number 21 spot is the M1 Carbine, which is it's a solid rifle. It's just I've always felt that the M1 Carbine has been weak, and unnecessarily weak. The ammo's not bad on it. The usability is fine. You just got to go for headshots like a lot of the other rifles in this game, And if you don't do that, I wouldn't even pick this weapon out of the box. There's a reason why it's a starting room weapon, and I mean overall it's an alright semi-automatic weapon, but there are much better ones out there. And that wraps up our bad section actually, and now onto the okay. We start off at number 20 with the scoped Kar98K, and first off, I mean it has a scope, so there's that, but I don't know what magic the scope does, but it brings the damage up by a lot. It's actually much more usable in the later rounds. Not later, but like teens and early 20s, it's much more usable as a weapon compared to the original Kar98K with the increased damage. Like, but the scope is it can be frustrating sometimes with the scope, but I mean I just can't list it that high with a lot of the other weapons on here. Anyway, onto our number 19 spot is the Gewehr 43, and I think of this as a much better M1 carbine, and I think it just has a higher damage. I feel like it's more fun to use in my opinion, and there aren't many other weapons that are, although there's not many weapons better than it. For a semi-automatic rifle, it's one of the better weapons. Yeah, that's all I really have to say for the Gewehr. Anyway, on to our number 18 spot is the M1911 pistol. And early round points, like for the first like 3 rounds-ish, this is really good. And you pack punch this thing, you get like a cannon, an explosive cannon that's very helpful. But with no flopper in this game, it's half useless, but I really can't rank it that high. I mean, I love the M1911 and Pack-a-Punched, and with it Pack-a-Punched, but it's just not that good. And I could only rank it so high. Honestly, it should probably be lower and into the bad section, honestly. But yeah, after looking at it again, I felt like it has some usefulness, especially in the early rounds. And even when Pack-a-Punch, it is still a very good explosive weapon. You just don't want to kill yourself. It's not as bad as the Panzer Strike, though. I will admit that. Like, you can actually keep your distance a little bit more with this. Anyway, on to our number 17 spot is the M1 Garand. And I mean, it's an alright rifle. There's nothing too bad about it. I wouldn't personally Pack-a-Punch it. Pack-a-Punch is not that bad, honestly. But it's just not that great of a rifle overall. And coming up at number 16, which should be no surprise, is the M1 Garand with the launcher. I was thinking about combining these two weapons, and I just ended up not. I felt like the launcher was enough of a difference to warrant a spot of its own, although they should be back to back. The launcher adds actually it provides much more of a, you can strategize with this weapon a lot more, and it's much more usable for later rounds because of that launcher. It'll actually be like, it'll get to the point where the launcher can still kill zombies while the main gun can't really as much. But it's why it is only just above it, but overall, like, these guns are kind of, the M1 Garand and even the one with the launcher they're kind of meh guns, anyway. And that's to wrap up the okay section of this list. Onto the good. We start off with number 15, the BAR, which is, it's the high, I would say it's an alright LMG, or AR, however you want to view it. But, personally, I feel like it's fine of a gun. It's not too bad, but I feel like it could fit in the good category. But for its price though, on the wall, off the wall, I guess. Yeah, no, this is the price is what drops it down. It could be, there's an argument for it to be lower, honestly. And but I don't know, just it's not bad, but with the price of how it makes it seem, worse for the price you're getting with it. And there's much better weapons for cheaper off the wall. So most of the time you're not really going to use the BAR because there's just better weapons out there. Anyway, on to our number 14 spot is the MP40. Personally, I have very solid weapon, very solid point weapon. Overall, a solidly overall well-rounded weapon. So that's what I was gonna try to say, and that's what I still believe that it's I would mainly use this for points and just maybe try to get a better weapon after that, but it's reliable enough to hold you for a solid amount of time in the game, basically. Anyway, on to our number 13 spot is the FG42, right around halfway. And honestly, the FG42 is not bad. It's actually pretty solid. I think the game considers this an AR. It's also, or it might consider an LMG. I don't know. It's a little bit of a heavier, I'm going to call it an AR. It's a bit of a heavier AR compared to the other ones, but it's good damage. The fire rate is pretty good, but with the ammo count, it's you fly through ammo with this thing. It's almost, I would say it's almost a FAMAS from Black Ops 1 with how fast you go through ammo with this thing. So that's an issue, but it also kills the zombies faster. So I don't have a complete issue with the weapon. And overall, it's a well-rounded gun, but it's on the heavier side, so it limits your mobility a little bit when training. So that could be an issue if you consider it one. And even getting heavier, I guess, at a number 12 spot is the Browning LMG. And this ranks here is because one, it has a shit ton of ammo. Its main issue is just mobility. But you can just sit there on like the catwalk in Doris, or just in that one spot in Nocturne and Towen by the grenades, where you can just camp there, and this thing will hold you for it'll hold you for a while. And even when pack bunch, it'll hold you for an even longer time. So Browning is overall, it's a very good gun, but its mobility is its biggest issue. And also, getting the footage for the Browning took the longest because the box just refused to give it to me. I think it went to around 20 and knocked like 3 times trying to get the Browning. So yeah, that happened. Anyway, at our number 11 spot is the STG, and I'm looking at the number 10 spot. I probably should have switched them, but anyway, I mean, I can't do that now. But anyway, we have the STG at number 11, and it's a very, very solid AR. The STG is honestly one of the better ARs in the game. It'll hold you for a long time, and it's overall a well-rounded gun. That's why it's on the upper end of the goods section. But honestly, it's just held back by some of the other guns, because there are some decent guns in this game, and the STG it is a wall weapon, so there is that. Yeah, I should have switched this with. I'm now realizing that. It's fine though. But it's overall well gun, and it's in a little bit of an inconvenient spot for training on Doris. But still, overall, it's a little bit inconvenient, but I'm sure most people should be able to make use with it at some point. Overall, it's a very good gun, though. That's what I'll say about it. At our number 10 spot is the PTRS Sniper. I'm looking at this now, and 11 and 10 should be switched, so that might be reflected in this video where it says 10 and then 11. But anyway, the PTRS, it's a very, very powerful sniper, and I would say that one of its biggest issues is the fact it restricts your mobility a lot as a gun. But anyway, it restricts your mobility a lot, and I mean that could, and but and the scope. That's the other thing that can mess you up as well. Anyway, but otherwise, it's an overall very good gun, and high damage, has a decent amount of ammo for a sniper, and this thing will take you well into the 20s, even and even unpapped, it's very good as well. Anyway, at our number 9 spot, and ending the good in the beginning of the great, we are at the sawed-off double barrel shotgun at our number 9 spot. And I'd say the biggest reason why this is this far back is just because it doesn't have the range as the regular double barrel. So there's that, but it's still, and the pellets, I guess, go in a wider area, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, in my opinion. Sometimes I just like to blind fire shotguns, and that works. Anyway, oh, I forgot to mention, no wonder weapons too. I forgot to mention that in the last ranking video. Anyway, hope you guys understand. I forgot to write that down. I'll write it down for BL1. But yeah, sawed-off double barrel, very powerful overall, but I just think there's many other guns better than it. And starting off at number 8 is the Type 100, and this is a very underrated SMG. It's a little bit of an inconvenient spot for the SMG on Der Riese, and some people might not even know that it's there, but if you get it, it's a very solid SMG and will last you quite a while. My biggest complaint with this gun, though, is that it doesn't carry as much ammo as I would like it to. I think it needs like another mag or another like 2 to 3 mags, and then it'll be very good. Give it some Thompson numbers, and the Type 100 is just golden. Like this would be this would be in the top 5 if it had more ammo and a bit of a faster fire rate. But otherwise, Type 100 is very solid weapon. Highly would recommend it to basically anyone who can get their hands on it. Anyway, at our number 7 spot is the 357 Magnum, and the Magnum in this game is very good. It's a borderline pocket wonder weapon. Well, I don't know if I go that far, but this thing will hold you until you get the wonder weapon of the map, pretty much. And it's one of the best mobilities for any gun in World of War. It's very easy to train zombies with this thing. It makes you faster, and very solid damages, good power, and it's an overall very solid gun. But there's still many guns better than it, in my opinion, and but I still think it's a very great weapon to use. So at our number 6 spot is the trench gun, and this is I love this gun. It's probably my personal favorite shotgun to use, but there's one so better than it. And I love the way it reloads. I love the way it shoots. I just love every part about the trench gun. But one of the biggest issues is its slow reload, and if you don't have Speed Cola, it might dick you over a little bit. But it's very strong. It's a good shotgun in my opinion. And I think even in the later rounds, it'll still hold you for quite a long time. And normally in these videos I have a top 10, but we have a top 5 in this one. So beginning at our top 5 and ending the great, we have at number 5 the MG42. And the reason why this LMG gets so high is, one, because it has one of the fastest fire rates in the game. It has very high damage, very fat. It kills zombies very quickly, and has a very good ammo count for its size. And like the Browning, the biggest issue with this thing is its mobility, but this has a better mobility and does more damage than the Browning, and has a lot faster fire rate than the Browning. So that is why it goes all the way up to number 5. This is a very solid weapon to use on later rounds. I could easily carry this. Like at some point during my gathering of footage, I was using the MG42 and Type 100. Like I would start off camping with the MG42 and then move into my training. If you know what I'm talking about, it's like one of the map trains for Dead Reese, and just switch back to the Type 100 for the rest of the zombies, and that system worked very well for me. So it's a very, very powerful gun, and I would highly recommend using it. Anyway, at our number 4 spot is the double barrel shotgun, and this gets here because it outputs some of the highest damage for zombies in the game, and it kills basically anything. The biggest issue with this gun though is it's only 2 shots per reload. So, but if you can manage that and you have like Speed Cola or something, you're golden. Like this thing will be very good well into the late 20s and early 30s. This gun will be good for a very long time for you, until like a lot of the other guns start to drop off. Anyway, at our number 3 spot is the PPSH, and personally, if this gun was a wall weapon, it would be in number 2, but that's the only thing that's holding it back. It has an amazing fire rate, amazing damage, amazing ammo count. It's perfect, but it has such a fast fire rate that once you run out of ammo with this thing though, you just can't get more. And that's its biggest issue, is that I love using the PPSH, and honestly it should be number 2 only if it had a wall weapon and you could go back and get more ammo for it. That's my biggest issue with it, is that it's not a wall weapon. But it's just, that's the way it is, and I have to rank it the way it is. And that leads me to my number 2, which is the Thompson. As it's a little bit weaker damage than the PPSH, but it's a wall weapon, so you can constantly go back to get more ammo. And it'll be overall very, very powerful gun. Not powerful, but it's a very reliable gun to use, and especially on the later, and not on the later ones, but you'll be able to use this for quite a while on all the maps. There's always a solid wall spot for it. The location of the Thompson's always in a good spot for training. So that's another reason why it's all the way up here at number 2. And at our number 1 is the Flamer. And this may not be the most powerful weapon, I mean by means of damage, and its mobility isn't the best. But if you can get around that, this has infinite ammo, and the damage is decent enough to where you can still get kills on high rounds. And because it's infinite ammo and it's just basically a cooldown, you can just run around with this thing forever. So that's why I just put it number 1. In theory, you could use the Flamer exclusively and get to around 100. But like I know one of the strats to get to high rounds unlocked is using like the insta-kill headshot like glitch with the Thompson and then the Flamer. And that's why the Flamer is just the best in my opinion. Your list may be slightly different in a couple areas, especially I can see like there's arguments for like the double barrel being number 2, PPSH number 2, 357 being up there, Type 100. There's a lot of these like great guns in the top 10ish that could be a little bit interchangeable, but overall I feel like that's a solid list. So what are your thoughts about it? And if you have any arguments, I'll comment. If you should comment, and I'll comment on your comment talking about my point, or if it's like a good point you make. If I missed any weapons, tough shit. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe. See you guys next time, and goodbye.